get this, the Southern Africa Development Community met on Sunday, and amongst most issues, they discussed the issue of Mozambique and how important it was for Mozambique's stability. Now, the SADC Troika actually ended up not coming to a conclusion, but rather they say that they are going to deal with parties, the warring parties within Mozambique, and bring them to the table and find a feasible solution that is beneficial to both. SADC Troika's decision of actually approaching a dialogue or approaching this with a sense of what is this objectiveness is contrast to that of Emmerson Mnangagwa, who just said that accepts the flawed constitutional judge ruling for the sake of his own benefit. The SADC Troika's decision now indicates that between them and Emmerson Mnangagwa, there seem to be a policy conflict or a policy shift. Because as a chairman, he says that let's stick by the decision of Mozambique constitutional council and respect it. But these guys, but the troika, the SADC troika that just met this Sunday, they are rather saying that no, we need to sit down with each and everyone. We're not going to take a side. We're not going to take the side, but rather we're going to discuss the issue and come up with a conclusion before 15 January, which is something that I find very grown-upish that is coming from the SADC. We're still of the view that SADC is spineless, but the president Hakainde Hichilema actually showed leadership in his stance. He understood the fact that Mozambique is important to the region because for Malawi, Mozambique is the only export destination or the port that they use for throughput. For Zimbabwe, 70% of the imports and the exports throughput come through Mozambique. This is very important. And Mozambique exports energy to a lot of these countries. A crisis in Mozambique, such as a civil war, not only does it affect Mozambique alone, but it will actually affect its neighbors logistically and each and everything that they benefit from Mozambique. So Hakainde Chilema approach of actually being friendly with both parties shows that he's much more of a grown-up person who doesn't think so-called the godfather of CIOs, Emmerson Mnangagwa, who's basically thinking for his own benefit. That guy never thinks about anyone. He thinks for his own benefit, his own thing, even if it affects millions and millions of people. The best decision that they've taken here. Now, what we tend to see now is that Venâncio Mondlane just recently announced that he's coming back to Maputo, Mozambique on Thursday at 8 a.m. Please receive me. So that was after the announcement by the SADC Troika. So what it means is that maybe the SADC Troika has made headways in actually resolving the issue that is surrounding Mozambique. Because how can Venâncio Mondlane actually feel safe enough to actually be in Mozambique during this such a crisis? So I believe that they could reach some sort of consensus, and the people of Mozambique have spoken out. Now, another important thing that I need to update on is that how Mozambicans are now going to South African Union buildings trying to convince the South African Parliament to actually take a stance or to actually take a policy position how they're going to treat Frelimo in Mozambique. Similar to like they want South Africa to actually take a similar position that they took when it was between Palestine and Israel, or to be discussed within a South African parliament issue, which is something that they did very well and very clever because for the first time the ANC is not in majority. At best, it's at 40%. So the ANC cannot outvote the policy position that they took on Mozambique, for example, if they decide to perhaps sanction Frelimo, for example. Another important thing is that they're approaching the African courts of justice of anything of that particular sort to further try and pin Frelimo down. This is very important, and they are not giving up on the issue of freedom. That is something that is very important. That I believe Venâncio Mnangagwa did very well. Now remember, Comrade President Venâncio Mondlane will be in Mozambique on Thursday, and we can't wait to actually see him getting off at the airport. We hope that he's going to be safe. But I believe that he was promised that he's going to be safe, or he knows that he's going to be safe. I believe that is an indication that the SADC or the SADC talks are taking headways, probably in a favorable position to Venâncio, Mondlane, and Podemos. Now, once these guys get into a government or some sort of a ruling that comes out of a government or inclusive government, what Mozambique needs to do, what they need to do eventually, they need to do clear and thorough cleansing of the separation of powers. Now, predominantly the judicial services or the judicial system to ensure that the judges and politics don't mix, where the judges are actually like the constitutional judges are actually picked by rather by parliament. And when we are discussing the issue of parliament, they also need to do away with the fact that Daniel Chapo's party won 65%, because if they are going to go into a parliament of Mozambique with Daniel Chapo's party at 65%, then they can veto any decision that they do not like. They basically believe that they're within a majority or anything of that particular sort. So in those discussions, if anyone in Mozambique is listening, if anyone that is, I don't know, maybe Venâncio Mondlane by mistake he runs into this audio, you need to make sure that Frelimo does not get into parliament thinking that they have 65%. They need to be reduced to where everyone is equal, so that when you choose your electoral officers, when you choose your judicial officers, it's something that everyone actually meets halfway. Remember, you are all Mozambicans. And the best thing that you guys should do is to build Mozambique and not separate it further. That is something that needs to be done. That should be the political will of each and everyone that is within this. Don't listen to a clueless ED 2030 mantra that is busy singing, something that is going in the drain, that is lost track in the forest. That guy, he calls himself a godfather of the CIO. He doesn't even have the slightest of wisdom. Busy chasing and arresting little young girls. Okay, anyways, from me it's done, and we'll be catching up in the next video. Please watch the next video where we'll be discussing